Hey guys, it's Tech Ryan here. In today's video, we'll be reviewing the NEEWER overhead camera mount. That is right, this is a actual mount that you clamp onto your desk that uses your camera, and of course you can hook it up so that way you can record an overhead angle. And it's only $50. And the question I want to answer here today, is it actually good? Because I got it for a few reasons. The first reason I got it for myself is because I want to be able to use it with my tech channel when I do the unboxing videos, or when I actually do a PC build. I want to be able to look inside the PC and show you guys what I'm doing, because I've been told by my viewers that you guys would like to see how I plug in the cables, how I plug in PC components, but there isn't a really great way of doing that. Originally, I did find one solution was to use like a GoPro with a POV angle, but my problem with this was I didn't like the camera quality of it because it was 1080p, 30 FPS, plus it didn't have the right angle I wanted, and it was really hard to adjust it to get the right angle every single time, and I was always concerned that legitimately it was gonna like fall off when I was recording into the PC, which would be a massive problem in itself. So I wasn't happy with this solution. And my other reason why I actually got this is because when I make a tech video, I want to make sure it's easy to understand and it's actually good. So in order to assure that, what I do is make my video, then I'll watch it for myself with no thought in mind and try to replicate the steps for myself to make sure it works. And if it works, then the video gets approved and gets published. So this will make that quality an easier job of actually getting done. So let's get into the unboxing of the NEEWER overhead mount. Now, the box isn't really anything spectacular, just kind of a normal cardboard box. You have to actually open it from either the front or back side, because there's actually a lip here, which you can see, which is not too hard to actually undone. There's like a small piece of tape. So I got a big pair of scissors, but doesn't particularly matter. We got access to the box, which was really straightforward. So we can just pop the slip here, pop the back side, open the lips, and then just slide this on out, hopefully, if it isn't super stuck, because literally there's a thing right here where it's poking out. So I think I have to like pop this on out a bit, actually get it. Worst case scenario, I do that and then I can't return it if this is bad. I don't think it's gonna be the case though. But there's the first part. It's like supposed to be 3 pieces, this thing, so it shouldn't be that much difficult. That's everything inside the box. We'll set that to the side. First of all, we got ourselves access to a little clamp, which you can see right here, we can use for putting our phone in if we want to like put our phone on the mount. So what we can do right here is take this clamp, slip it on in, and bang, our phone can actually be clamped into this, which is pretty nice. And of course, there's a screw hole right here, and then one on the back for actually mounting. So if you want to mount it top down, you can, or you can mount it from the side. So it really depends on personal preference, but I won't be using this for myself, but it's kind of a nice accessory. Next up, we got a little manual plus a little Allen wrench for it to lock it down, and it shows you kind of a setup guide and how to set up in place, but we won't really need this, to be honest with you. We also got 2 different bits depending on your use case, so you can always like switch out the bits if you really want to, but I won't probably be using these, but you have access to them. Then we actually have the clamp in itself, which I'm trying to figure out how this opens. So you have to untighten from one side, loosen around, which is pretty nice. And then you have to just do it from the other side by force. Okay, so this side is tougher than this side. This side is much more easier. I don't know why my camera is like not autofocusing. It's like bobbing in and out, but you can have it perfectly parallel. You can have a zigzag however way you want, which is not bad, because for me, my problem with the mount originally was like I was gonna clamp it this way, and there's 2 different versions of this clamp. There's one that goes zigzag like this, and there's a parallel one, and the parallel one shot left, like straight right, so I couldn't put it parallel on my desk. So this, I'd be able to set up my camera to have it pointed from above, like something like this, and clamp onto here onto the bar, and then once you clamp it on, because you really just untighten it and you unlatch it, you can wobble it around, then you can just relock it in place and then screw it back down righty tighty, and then you can clamp it, and then you can just adjust your head. If you want to point down for a top down camera angle, you can, and then if you want to do it from the side, you can, so you can have whatever you want. So that was the big thing for me. I was worried like the parallel wouldn't work, so that's why I went the zigzag one. Then finally, the other thing we have is the actual mount in itself. So supposedly this goes really tall, like you can have a lot of like height with this, and that's why I need it, because I'm more concerned I'm gonna get this and then try to do my PC build and not be high enough, so you like I'm in the way of it. But it's literally getting to the point where it's super long on camera. Like, so the clamp in itself is pretty long. You can have it from just choke it up here and then tighten it to go down. Same thing here, there's another mount there, you can tighten it, and then that's about it. I thought there was going to be a third, but it's still pretty tall nevertheless. So I got the overhead mount all connected onto the desk, which you can see here, clamps, and pretty much the setup is just as clamping it on the desk, grabbing your arm and actually mounting it. Now there is a screw hole top here, so if you want to actually take like a little light you have around your studio that want to use to brighten the situation, you can do so by just putting it on here and screwing it on, and it's simple as that. And it won't really go anywhere, and then you can move it around by turning the knob up top, and that way you can move it around however you want. But for me personally, I don't really need to move it at all, so I'm just gonna leave it there, and I can turn it on like so, and that's how we have a little light on here. So that's nice, especially since the case lighting in a video is everything. If you don't have good lighting, the video degrades in quality, which people can't see shit, then you can't help them. So that's good. And then for the clamp, this is actually a pretty straightforward process. All we do is take this clamp here, is to take the clamp and just open it up, which you can see it's open right now, and then you can kind of just wrap it to the top. I've noticed though, you can actually loosen it up how deep you want it to be by just wiggling this, which is nice. And of course you want to tighten it too. So for here, this is the top one. I unlock that one, push it up, and then just tighten it, which is good. And then we can just wind this on up and clamp it on there. And once you do so, you just want to have one hand holding in place, other hand take the pinch, and then you want to righty-tighty it. Like that, you can actually tighten it on there, which is a pretty straightforward process. And it is honestly pretty strong. I thought originally the quality of this was not going to be good, so it was going to drop my camera. Biggest thing in the world, because this is a $500 camera I have on here right now. And the set up the camera, it's a really simple process. All you do is just take the same thing that you do for the lighting, is screw it on here. Now there are different mounts that came with it, like we showed you there, those bolts, but you don't really have to use it if you're just using a normal thread for your camera. So you just take that, screw it in, and then you just want to tighten it on so. And with that, you can easily have it on there. And you can actually loosen the bolt here on the bottom and move around the camera's head and whatever you want to do with that gimbal. But for me personally, I'm just going to leave it dead center, and we can just adjust this. Now just to give you a general idea how tall this thing is, it's pretty tall. It goes all the way up to my body, which you can see here, it looks pretty good. And then I also did do a little bit of testing earlier, which you probably saw in the beginning of the video, that you can actually line up the camera to make it look good. So this camera, especially what's nice about this, it has a 360 gimbal on it, so I can have it point straight down, perfectly parallel, or I can just have it do whatever I want. So the flexibility with the lens on this one is gonna be nice with this actual mount. And then I can just use it as B-roll shots. So like, for example, I have some memory I was uninstalling just to test to see if this is good, because I want to use this mostly for PC build videos, where I do the cable installation and also the, some certain PC components that might be a little bit difficult to show on camera. I'll be able to do this with that. And it actually looks pretty good quality. The quality is pretty nice. Not the craziest thing in the world, but I'm gonna definitely work on the lighting a little bit more. So the setup process for this is pretty easy to set up. I thought it's gonna be a little bit more tedious and honestly not gonna be that stable, but the build quality is pretty good. It ain't gonna wiggle around or fly off the place. And yeah, I was more concerned about dropping my camera than anything else, to be completely honest with you. I feel like we're all in agreement that if our camera got dropped, the most expensive thing about this whole thing, we'd all be kind of annoyed. So I now set it up in the studio. If I was actually going to use it as a keyboard cam, which you can see, it's not in the way right now, which is awesome. But if we actually switch to the keyboard cam to actually do like unboxing and stuff like in here for smaller things, you can see this is how it would actually look. And it looks pretty good. The only thing I'm kind of annoyed about is the microphone's gonna be kind of in the way, but that's kind of what you get for a top-down angle that's this high. It actually looks very good though. The quality, especially with the camera too, looks awesome, very sharp with 4K. That's the big reason I want 4K, is because when I do zoom in shots, I want to make sure you can see every little detail. And with 4K I can actually do so, because it's 4 times 1080p. So that's sick. And if you're wondering how it looks like in the studio, this is how it looks like. It's literally just kind of an overhead shot connected there, so I can like just sit down with you guys, see, ooh, we're cool. We have it hooked up onto my desk, slightly above the camera, and it really isn't in the way. My big thing was I was going to be concerned that it was going to hit me in the head, but nope, it is very high up there, so we do not have to worry about that fact. Now, something to keep in mind is that this camera mount can only hold up to 2 pounds of load, right? So if your camera weighs more than that, this might not be the actual mount you want to get for yourself for an overhead camera. For me personally, since my camera is really small and only weighs like 334 grams, which is 0.7 of an actual gram, so it's not even close to 1 gram, it can hold this perfectly fine, which is awesome. That's all I need to do, because I want to get those overhead shots. And honestly, the build quality of this is pretty good. It's not plastic or anything cheap by far. I thought it was gonna be something like that, but thankfully that isn't the case, because I hate it when it's plastic, because it sometimes bends over with the camera, even though it says it can support it. it doesn't work. I actually have this ring light over here that has that exact problem because it's made of plastic. So I'm glad the build quality is actually like really strong. Now the other thing with it is too that the actual mechanisms for moving around are pretty good. Nothing too insane, just kind of weird though. It seems like all of them are slightly bending, but it isn't really impacting the camera quality and the way it presents itself over a long period of time when recording. So no problem there. Now the real question is, do I think this is worth $50? $50 for an overhead mount? I'd say it's pretty good. I'll be curious to see how it actually works in the long run, to see how it actually does, especially when I start doing my PC build videos, because I got one I'm going to be doing on AM5 for an $800 PC build video. So if you don't want to miss out on that, get subscribed. But I will be using this for that actual video for some certain camera angles. I want to get those top-down shots. But that is my review on the actual NEEWER overhead angle mount. Let me know if you guys like this video by hitting that like button and get subscribed to some featured content. Now till then, have a great rest of your day. Tech Grant out.